Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Then my name is Nur Enna Gilyamiti Hassan, DKHP Semester 2 from Group 9. As an introduction to our case study, the well-known aerospace company Airbus had engaged in corruption practices which resulted in one of the most significant corporate corruption cases in recent history. The Queen's Bench Division of the Southwark Crown Court approved a settlement between Airbus and the United Kingdom Serious Fraud Office. I will now talk about the background of this particular case. The Airbus bribery scandal revealed a global network of corruption involving company executives, intermediaries, and airline officials. Two Airbus departments, the Customer Directorate for Strategic Customers (CDSC) and Strategy and Marketing Organization (SMO) had played major roles in organizing and executing these corrupt deals. Business partners were often chosen despite lacking independence or proper expertise in airline sales, making the system much easier and prone to manipulation. In one case, an AirAsia executive and an Airbus agent disguised a bribe as a sports team sponsorship. At Airbus, compliance procedures were often ignored or used to hide unethical behavior. This is a clear reminder of the importance of ethics and accountability in global business. In order to obtain aviation contracts and influence decision makers, Airbus carried out multiple illegal transactions across the globe. These included large cash payments, military transport services, and even aircraft supplies to officials in countries like Malaysia, Indonesia, and Ghana. Between 2011 and 2015, Airbus offered over $50 million in sponsorships to a sports team partially controlled by Malaysian airline executives, along with another $55 million proposed later on. Within the company, these actions were rationalized as strategic moves to remain competitive. This shows just how deeply corruption had rooted itself in Airbus's business culture. The Airbus bribery scandal came into light when the UK Serious Fraud Office launched a criminal investigation, which triggered from a report from the UK Export Finance, a government body that had supported Airbus. International investigations quickly followed after that, with authorities in the UK, France, and the US uncovering widespread misconduct. This led to a £3.6 billion settlement, which is a lot of money. The pros revealed a systemic pattern of corruption which was enabled by weak enforcement of compliance policies within the organization.
Hi, my name is Fatiha, and I'm going to cover about the corruption details about the Airbus bribery scandal. So there are four methods that were used by Airbus to perform their bribery scandal as shown here. So I'm going to explain about these methods. So the first method that they used was by political bribery. For example, the case that happened in Ghana in West Africa, where Airbus tried to influence military aircraft deals by using intermediaries to offer bribes to public officials. And these officials had control over defense procurement, so bribing them helped Airbus to secure deals. The second method used by Airbus is by using third-party intermediaries, or also known as business partners. So these business partners, they often came from ex-government officials or people with strong political ties. And these people, they are not just consultants, but their real job is to pass bribes to the decision makers on behalf of the Airbus. And here's the example of the picture showing the bribery scheme, on how the bribery scheme works on Airbus. Another trick they used was by making a fake documents. So Airbus would create a fake contract and invoices to make illegal payments look legal. This made it harder for regulators to catch them. And for example, in the case that happened in Sri Lanka, where Airbus bribed airline officials at Sri Lankan Airlines with luxury trips, gifts, and also money. These were hidden in fake consultancy agreements, so it looks legal on paper, but in reality it was just bribery disguised as business expenses. To make things even more complicated, Airbus used offshore accounts in places like Hong Kong and the Isle of Man. These countries are known for their financial secrecy, so it was the perfect place to hide dirty money. They would route the bribes through these offshore companies, so it would be hard to trace back to Airbus. This made it really difficult for investigators to follow the money. So all these crimes that Airbus has made has triggered legal action in 3 major countries, including United States, United Kingdom, and also in France. So in United States, Airbus has broke the Foreign Corrupt Practices Act, also known as FCPA, because some payments went through the US financial system. And as for the UK, Airbus has, since Airbus used the agents in East Asia to bribe officials, so it has broke the UK Bribery Act 2010. As for France, under Sapin II law, France anti-corruption law, Airbus was also found guilty, especially for actions in former French colonies.
Next, I will talk about the impact and the consequences. The Airbus corruption scandal had serious consequences for society, the economy, and the governments. Firstly, the impact on society. Social inequality. Corruption often increases social inequality. When money is taken away from the public services and given to a few powerful people, it leaves less support for the general public. This can lead to more poverty and cause social unrest. Second one is diminished public services. When money is used for bribes, it cannot be used for important public services. These include things like healthcare, education, and donation to people in need. As a result, the quality of these services may decrease, affecting many lives. The second impact is on economy, where financial penalties. Airbus had to pay very large financial penalties due to the scandal. These penalties affected company profits and lowered its value to shareholders. The large fine also caused a big loss of money from the company resources. The second one is market distortion. Bribery affects fair competition in the market. It gives certain companies an unfair advantages over others. This leads to an efficient use of resources and can slow down the economic progress. The third one is damage to reputation. This scandal seriously damaged Airbus' reputation. This could also make it harder for the company to win future contracts and compete globally. And it also affected investor confidence and hurt the image of the whole aerospace industry. The last one is the impact on the government, a weakening of public trust. The scandal showed how difficult it is to enforce anti-corruption laws in the global economy. It made people question how well the current system works. This led to call for stronger laws and better international cooperation. It also encouraged the use of deferred prosecution agreements as a way to handle such cases. The last one is international relations. The scandal involved people from different countries, which causes tension between governments. It showed the need for more transparency and accountability in the global businesses. Governments were reminded to take stronger action to prevent similar cases in the future. That's all from me. Thank you.
Next, I will talk about the legal actions and outcome of the Airbus corruption scandal. Let's begin with the investigations. In France, the Parquet National Financial launched an investigation in March 2017. It focused on Airbus' use of third-party consultants to secure aircraft deals. Authorities suspected the company had paid price disguised as commission. Interestingly, the case was triggered by Airbus itself after it voluntarily reported irregularities. In the United Kingdom, the Series Fraud Office or SFO started its investigation earlier in July 2016. It was based on a tip from UK Export Finance and examined Airbus' failure to disclose intermediaries when applying for export credit. Under the UK Bribery Act 2010, this failure could be considered a corporate offence. In the United States, the Department of Justice and State Department investigated Airbus under both the Foreign Corrupt Practices Act and the International Traffic in Arms Regulation. They focused on three major issues: bribery of foreign officials, failure to disclose commission, and the unauthorized export of US-controlled military technology. Now, let's move on to the legal outcomes. In January 2020, Airbus agreed to a record-breaking settlement of €3.6 billion, or about $4 billion, split between France, the UK, and the US. In France, Airbus paid €2.1 billion through a legal mechanism called CJIP, similar to a deferred prosecution agreement. It was the largest corruption fine in French history. In the UK, Airbus paid €991 million under a deferred prosecution agreement, avoiding criminal charges by cooperating and implementing reforms. And lastly, in the US, Airbus paid $527 million, including $294 million for bribery and $233 million for military export violations.
I'm Nur Zulalina Nazili binti Muhammad Nazri, S34679.
Next is reforms and compliance measures. Following the corruption scandal, Airbus strengthened its anti-corruption compliance through the Airbus Ethics and Compliance Program by establishing legitimate contractual agreements, terminating ties with unethical business partners, and forming the Special Marketing Organization to oversee consultants independently. Second, Airbus introduced robust internal controls to detect and prevent bribery. The company enhanced scrutiny of financial transactions, prohibited unauthorized bank accounts, and implemented strict procedures for third-party agreements, invoices, and expense reports. Compliance risks are now thoroughly assessed with regular audits by the Ethics and Compliance Organization and Corporate Audit Team. Third, the transparency was reinforced through the Speak Up initiative, which provide employees to channels report of compliance violations. Airbus improved financial disclosures and established a thorough investigations process for disciplinary actions and root cause analysis to confirm the misconduct. Whistleblowers are safeguarded, making it easier for them to report any suspected wrongdoings. Number 4, Airbus implemented training programs to educate employees on compliance responsibilities and anti-corruption measures. Lessons from the Airbus scandal are integrated to highlight the risk. Annual e-learning is mandatory, with tailored face-to-face training provided for higher risk roles, emphasizing the importance of ethical practices and accountability. Fifth, Airbus agreed to independently monitor its compliance efforts by appointing external monitors. For example, the French Anti-Corruption Agency reviews the effectiveness of Airbus programs, ensuring accountability and transparency in its operations. Lastly, Airbus committed to fostering a culture of integrity and accountability, reflected in leadership changes and the departure of implicated executives. Directives now require employees to disclose conflicts of interest proactively, while misconduct is addressed with strict consequences.
Now let's take a closer look at the key lessons we can learn from the Airbus corruption scandal. The Airbus case taught us some serious lessons about what can go wrong when the ethics and the oversight are missing in a big company. Airbus didn't have strong enough controls in place, and its culture didn't really prioritize doing the right thing. Because of that, they end up using third-party agents to secretly pay bribes and win contracts, pretending it was just a normal business. This shows how important it is for companies to build a culture of integrity, one with clear rules, training, and safe ways for employees to speak up when something feels off. Moving forward, companies can protect themselves by strengthening their compliance systems, bringing in outside experts to check their practices, and making sure employees feel safe reporting any shady behavior. Airbus has already made changes like creating special teams to watch over third-party deals and improving their whistleblower systems. In the end, it all comes down to being transparent, staying accountable, and making sure ethics are part of everyday business, not just something on paper. In conclusion, the Airbus corruption scandal is a powerful reminder of why ethical practices and strong compliance systems are so important for companies. By failing to prevent bribery, Airbus shows just how vulnerable multinational companies can be in risky markets, but the legal actions, fines, and their commitment to change also highlight the steps they've taken to prevent future issues. To avoid corruption, companies need to implement strong compliance programs, increase transparency, and create a culture where accountability is key. In the end, the Airbus case makes it clear that taking a proactive and ethical approach to governance is not only essential for protecting a company's reputation, but also ensuring long-term success in the global market. That's all from us. Thank you.